Elena stands with Wari behind her, her eyes slowly scanning the 5 Yanomami warriors to gauge their intentions. They are clad in hunting attire, armed with spears and blowpipes, their faces uniquely adorned with red paint. Their typical stature places them, at best, at eye level with Elena's medium height. The absence of distinctive facial features slightly disappoints Elena's expectations. But despite their minimal clothing, they are richly adorned with feathers, necklaces, and intricately braided bracelets. The only sound breaking the silence is the distant chatter of birds. Wari takes 2 steps back, his apprehension evident. One of the warriors, clearly the leader, steps forward, locking eyes with Elena without uttering a word. After a few moments, he sidesteps and shouts at Wari,
"We know who you are. You are not welcome here. Go back to where you came from."
His fist brandishing the spear in a menacing gesture. Wari, unwilling to confront the group, retreats, glancing over his shoulder to see what will become of Elena. The warrior then turns back to Elena, their eyes meeting at the same level. His tone, less angry but still threatening, commands,
"We don't want you here. Leave."
Elena, maintaining her composure, responds,
"I am Kina, daughter of Yano and Tama. I have come to visit my people, to share my knowledge of the outside world, and to fulfill the quest of our ancestors."
"You are no Yanomami. Your words mean nothing to me."
The warrior retorts, "I am not, but the spirit of one resides within me. Take me to your clan so Kina's soul can be reunited with her people." Elena responds. The warrior hesitates, seemingly unmoved by Elena's command of the Yanomami language. He begins to circle her slowly, scrutinizing every detail of her jungle attire. His hand lightly brushes the handle of her machete, traces the straps of her backpack, and probes the fabric of her clothing as if trying to discern her true intentions. After completing his silent examination, the leader turns toward his comrades, seeming to gauge their thoughts without a word. Finally, he says,
"Our shaman will have the final say in this matter."
Navigating the dense jungle, any other man might have been lost in its featureless green labyrinth. Yet, the leader strides with purpose, followed closely by Elena, with the 4 other warriors watching her every move. As the Yanomami traverse the jungle, they disturb the environment so little that even the animals remain unaware, continuing their natural chorus of chirps, roars, and calls. After an hour of steady walking, they finally reach the shabono. The structure, a remarkable example of Yanomami architecture, is impressively large by their standards. Resembling a wheel, the shabono serves as a communal home, standing as a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of its builders. As they enter the clearing, the arrival of Elena sparks various reactions among the villagers. Some approach with cautious curiosity, maintaining their distance while whispering among themselves about the foreigner. Others stand silently observing from afar while the youngest sprint away, likely to inform others of the unusual event. The group leader halts about 5 meters from the shabono, signaling Elena and the other warriors to wait outside as he enters alone. Gradually, the entire tribe gathers around Elena, drawn by their curiosity. Elena smiles and nods in greeting, attempting to ease the tension, fully aware that there is little else she can do. In typical Yanomami fashion, the men and women are lightly dressed, adorned with minimal yet distinctive attire made from natural materials. The men wear simple loincloths and small ornaments like beaded necklaces or feathered adornments, while the women are similarly attired in skirts or wraps, topless, their bodies adorned with intricate patterns of body paint. The vibrant colors and natural designs of their clothing and body art reflect their deep connection to the land and their cultural identity. The atmosphere is a mix of solemn respect and genuine interest as they observe the newcomer. 2 men of notable stature emerge from the shabono, one elderly, likely the shaman, and a more imposing figure richly adorned who appears to be the tribe leader. Upon seeing Elena, the two men briefly exchange glances, silently acknowledging that she is no Yanomami. Without formal introduction, the shaman steps forward and addresses her.
Why do you claim that the spirit of a Yanomami lives within you?
Elena, eager to explain, replies,
Her name is Kina. She lived long ago among your people, though she belonged to another tribe. Her memories are now part of me, and I have come to return a piece of her spirit to her original people. It is through Kina that I speak the language of the Yanomami.
If this is true, how did one of our spirits become trapped inside an outsider?
the shaman asks, his face inching closer to Elena's as he removes her hat. His gaze seems to pierce through her mortal shell, searching for the truth within her essence. Elena remains still, her heart pounding as the shaman's tobacco-laden breath wafts over her, though her eyes carefully follow his every movement. Without another word, the shaman drops her hat to the ground and returns to the shabono. The village chief instructs the warriors to keep watch over Elena before following the shaman inside. Elena slowly turns in a full circle, taking in the murmurs of the tribe as they watch her closely. She bends down to retrieve her hat, dusting it off, while beads of sweat form on her forehead, betraying her rising anxiety. Setting her backpack down, her shirt clings to her, soaked through from the oppressive heat. Time drags on, and as the sun passes its zenith, clouds begin to gather in the sky, hinting at approaching rain. Eventually, the village chief reappears and signals for Elena to follow him. With her hat in one hand and her backpack in the other, she steps into the private world of the Yanomami. The shabono, constructed entirely from natural materials, reveals a circular layout with a steep, conical roof. Its walls, woven from palm leaves and large tree branches, form a dense barrier that provides both protection from the elements and natural ventilation. The roof, made of overlapping palm fronds, slopes sharply to allow rain to run off easily. Inside, the shabono is divided into various living spaces, with an open central area serving as a communal gathering place. The floor is layered with leaves, offering a natural, soft surface. The central space is used for social activities, ceremonies, and communal meals, highlighting the shabono's role as the heart of community life. The entire structure is supported by sturdy wooden posts, treated with natural preservatives for durability. The design reflects not only the practical needs of the Yanomami, but also their deep connection to the rainforest, seamlessly blending functionality with respect for the environment. The shaman sits calmly in the center of the open area, with several members of the tribe gathered at the periphery. The tribe's chief, seated a short distance away, watches quietly as the event unfolds. It is clear to Elena that she should sit in front of the shaman. Taking her place cross-legged, she waits patiently for him to speak. The shaman waves toward a group of women who quickly bring a spread of food, cassava, sweet potatoes, and fresh fruits, presented on banana leaves and placed between the shaman and Elena. He gestures for her to eat, and she obliges gratefully. A gourd is handed to the shaman, from which he takes a sip before passing it to Elena. She follows suit, taking a drink. With a peaceful demeanor, the shaman begins,
I have seen many outsiders in my life. People like you. But we have learned that our worlds are too different. The Yanomami must protect their way of life, and outsiders often bring bad influences. You are the first I have encountered who speaks our language, and the first to claim to carry the spirit of one of our ancestors. Few Yanomami are gifted with this connection, only shamans receive it.
Elena, after swallowing a bite of food, replies,
I may be the only outsider with such a gift. Before starting this journey, I trusted that the spirit within me would guide and protect me, leading me back to the people of the forest. I felt it was something I had to do, for both myself and for Kina, reliving the old ways as she did.
Tell me more about yourself, spirit of Kina.
My name is Elena. I live in a great city far to the north, more than a full season's journey from here. I work with the words of many people, including those who have not been heard from since before outsiders came. I have children and grandchildren.
Elena.
The shaman murmurs thoughtfully. He studies her hands for a few moments, then gently takes one in his own and examines it.
These hands have not known hardship. Are you a wise woman in your world, or something more?
Smiling, Elena responds,
Some might consider me a wise woman. Many come from far away to seek my teachings. A few may see me as a shaman, able to speak to the spirits, but this is something I keep close to my heart. In my world, it is not valued, it may even be seen as a bad omen. I have lived long enough to gather much knowledge. I am the age of a great-grandmother.
The shaman, surprised, replies,
You may have lived longer than our oldest. Your body does not betray all the seasons you have seen.
He pauses for a moment before continuing,
I will allow you to stay with us for the night, if that is your wish. If you choose to remain with us, we will ask the spirits for their guidance. If not, we will send you back to the edge of our land, never to return.
The shaman then calls for a middle-aged woman.
This is my first wife, Tara. She will arrange a place for you to stay tonight.
Elena is given an isolated space in the shabono with a hammock strung between two pillars by Tara. Throughout the task, Tara remains silent, and when she finishes, she leaves Elena alone. Though as alone as one can be in a large communal space. As the villagers go about their daily tasks, they occasionally glance her way. Elena understands that she is the latest curiosity and doesn't judge them for their stares. Resting in her gently swaying hammock, Elena soon feels the need to relieve herself. Spotting Tara crouched among other women preparing food around a fire, she approaches and asks where she might go. The women giggle at her request, finding it amusing. Tara leads her into the forest, pointing to a secluded spot where Elena can take care of her needs. While Elena attends to herself, she notices that Tara stands nearby, not so much watching for others but keeping an eye on Elena, like a guard monitoring a prisoner without bars. Returning to her hammock, Elena reflects on the fact that Tara never uttered a word. The divide between their worlds feels tangible. As night falls, the tribe gathers for a communal meal, but to Elena's surprise, she is neither invited nor given food. Having not eaten a proper meal in 2 days, hunger and frustration start to gnaw at her. With the campfires scattered around the shabono casting flickering light on her face, Elena observes as the Yanomami begin a ceremony, their chants filling the night air. The same women who were earlier preparing food now approach Elena. Rising from her hammock, she senses something important is about to happen. Once she stands, the women begin to undress her, fumbling with her unfamiliar clothing. Elena, realizing their struggle, unbuttons the top of her shirt. One woman catches on and finishes unbuttoning the rest, while another attempts to remove her boots. 2 more women tug at her trousers. Elena unties her laces, allowing them to take off her boots and socks. The women laugh softly at their struggle, and Elena feels some reassurance in hearing their light-hearted voices. Now understanding how her clothing works, the women quickly undo her trousers, buttons, and zippers, no longer a mystery. In a short time, Elena is left in her undergarments. Hoping this would be the end of it, she is startled when her panties are slid down. Glancing around to see if anyone is watching, she becomes even more flustered as her bra is awkwardly and painfully removed over her head. Now fully exposed, Elena is surprised to find that no one seems to pay attention to her nakedness, a small comfort amidst the vulnerability she feels. As swiftly as Elena's undergarments were removed, a skirt woven from palm fibers is fitted around her waist. The women then pick up wooden bowls filled with red and black paints from the ground. Using the tips of their fingers, they begin to draw intricate, ornamental, and mystical patterns across Elena's face, body, and arms. The designs consist of flowing lines, jagged shapes resembling saws and circles, each symbol imbued with meaning. Tara then leads Elena toward the shaman, who sits at the center of a circle formed by more than 20 people. As Elena approaches, the chanting fades into a quiet hum. Now standing at the heart of the gathering, she becomes acutely aware of her own body. At 65, she had never felt so exposed. Decades earlier, in her 20s, she might not have minded, confident in her beauty. But now the effects of time, gravity and age, have left their inevitable marks, despite her efforts to preserve her appearance. She mirrors the shaman's seated posture, waiting respectfully for him to initiate the next step. However, her sense of decorum is disrupted by the unmistakable growl of her stomach. The shaman is handed a bowl by one of the men.
Now we will drink,
he says to Elena. After taking a deep sip, he offers the vessel to her. As she peers into the bowl, Elena realizes why she had been deprived of dinner. Ayahuasca is far more potent on an empty stomach. She mimics the shaman, drinking deeply while maintaining eye contact, before passing the vessel back to him. The shaman begins to chant, calling upon the ancestral spirits, and soon the rest of the tribe joins in, their voices merging in a rhythmic incantation. Gently swaying from side to side, the shaman closes his eyes, waiting for the brew to expand his mind, murmuring ancient songs as he rocks. In the distance, faint flashes of lightning hint at a storm brewing deep in the jungle. The entire tribe sits in unison, waiting for Elena's visions to manifest. At first, the bitter taste of the ayahuasca and the discomfort of nausea dominate her senses, but gradually, Elena begins to see flashes, not just in the sky, but behind her closed eyelids.
Tell me about yourself, Kina,
the shaman says, his voice heavy with emphasis.
Kina, yes, I know that name.
Elena replies, her voice distant and uncertain.
I think I know her, or maybe she knows me. I can't remember.
Kina, of the Yanomami tribe.
The shaman intones.
Your people are calling for you, Kina.
Elena opens her eyes, and the world around her seems to warp and distort. More and more figures gather around her, their faces shifting and blurring. She tries to focus, her gaze drifting to the left, where she sees an elderly couple dressed in Roman togas.
Are those my parents? But whose parents?
She murmurs. Turning to her right, she sees an Amerindian couple and whispers,
Mom, Dad, you've come for me. We're safe now.
Her voice trembles as she adds,
What about my children? Are they with you?
A distant voice calls to her.
Kina, are you here?
Closing her eyes, Elena, now fully embodying Kina, finds herself in a lush, emerald green jungle.
Yes, brother. Where are you?
She asks, her voice searching.
Jairo, where are you?
I'm here, Kina.
Jairo's voice responds, but she cannot see him. Desperately spinning in place, trying to locate the voice, the jungle around her shifts and transforms into her childhood shabono. But it is empty.
Mom? Dad? Brother?
She calls, running toward the family corner of the shabono, only to find it vacant.
Kina!
A voice calls sharply, startling her. Turning, she finds herself face to face with her father, taller and stronger than she remembers, dressed in his hunting gear.
Where have you been?
She cries, throwing herself into his arms and hugging him tightly with all the strength her 6-year-old self can muster. Yano gestures toward their corner of the shabono, where Kina's mother is tending to her 4-year-old brother.
Go help your mother while I join the other hunters.
He says, Kina beams with a large smile and jogs toward her mother, but in her excitement, she bumps into a man. Stumbling, she nearly loses her balance before colliding with another. The shabono, once sparse, is now crowded with people. Suddenly, her mother is nowhere to be seen. Panic sets in as Kina calls out for her mother, lost in the crowd. Jostled by people, she is pushed from one person to the next until she finally loses her footing and falls to the ground. When she stands, she is engulfed by darkness. Not a single ray of light penetrates the void. Her heart pounds as she cries out,
Mom!
louder and louder with each breath.
You are no longer a child, Kina.
A voice says. Out of the darkness, her mother's face appears faintly illuminated, blowing on some dry fibers, coaxing a small flame into life. Taima smiles gently as the fire grows, feeding it with small logs and more tinder. They are now inside a small house.
This is your rite of passage into womanhood.
Taima says, her voice soft but firm.
I must teach you your future duties as a wife, how to care for your family, tend to your household, and respect your future husband.
I've been having strange visions in my dreams, Mother.
Kina replies, her voice filled with uncertainty. With a strong puff of air, Taima extinguishes the young flame, plunging them back into darkness. In the next vision, Kina is sobbing, her hands pressed against her father's belly, drenched in blood. As she removes them, a torrent of blood gushes out. Yano trembles, a mix of pain and distress written across his face. Kina quickly applies pressure again, trying desperately to stop the bleeding. Amidst the chaos outside the shabono, where wounded warriors are being tended to, Kina takes charge. She instructs her mother to fetch leaves from various healing plants, kachiri for pain relief, and orders her brother Gyro to gather a number of large bullet ants. Despite the turmoil, she reassures her youngest brother, telling him that everything will be fine, even as her own fear and grief bubble beneath the surface. Kina's body is now painted red, not with blood, but with ceremonial designs. Standing beside her father, she participates in a ceremony that unites the entire tribe. The elderly shaman officiates the marriage between Kina and Devi, his son. As she gazes at her proud father, she notices the large scar on his side. Kina feels certain that she is ready. The chants of her husband, the shaman, echo through the air as the midwife urges Kina to push. Gripping one of the poles of the shabono, she squats, her teeth clenched, straining to bring new life into the world. Her body tears as the newest member of the tribe emerges in a communion of blood. Kina loses consciousness from the effort. When Kina opens her eyes, her son and daughter are beside her. Her daughter, still too young to understand, looks at her grandfather lying beneath the tree, unaware that he will never wake again. Kina's husband sings and performs gestures, releasing Yano's soul to the ancestral realm. Life in the jungle is unforgiving, hard to give, and all too easy to lose. As they return to the village, Kina turns for one final farewell to her father's shell of a body, now adorned for its return to nature. On a rainy day, Kina gently receives her first grandson in her arms, a new life welcomed into the family. Years later, Kina, now aged and wearing her shamanic robes, is introduced by her son to her great-granddaughter. She smiles, content to witness this final chapter of her journey. There is no sorrow, no regret. As the last of her generation, Kina feels her soul slowly slipping away, but she knows with certainty that it will endure. She is ready to become a quiet observer of the lives to come.
Elena, come back to us.
Elena opens her eyes, gasping as if she had been holding her breath throughout the entire experience. Still feeling dazed and disoriented from her vision, she only now notices that she is soaked from the rain.
Elena, daughter of Kina, granddaughter of Kano and Tama, rest now.
Her strength completely drained, Elena collapses onto the ground. When she opens her eyes again, the sun has already risen. Her sleep had been fitful, filled with visions she hadn't experienced since her 20s. The same group of women from the previous day sits in a circle beside her hammock, with various foods placed in the center. One of them notices Elena stirring and stands to help. Gently they assist her as she climbs out of the hammock and sits on the ground. One woman offers her a bowl.
Drink, Kina. You need your strength back, and you should eat.
A few minutes later, the shaman arrives, and the women make space for him to sit across from Elena. She shifts uncomfortably, acutely aware that she is only wearing a simple woven skirt, with most of her decorative paint washed away by the rain. The vulnerability weighs on her. No man has seen her this exposed in daylight for almost 2 decades. The shaman helps himself to some food before addressing her.
Elena, do you wish to stay with us? During our vision quest, I witnessed Kina's journey. I saw how she guided her tribe, and for the first time, I experienced the path of a woman in a deeply personal way. She carried great wisdom and knowledge. It would be an honor to have you as a spiritual guide among us. I believe I understand who you are.
If it's possible, I would like to stay for a time. But eventually, I'll have to return to my people. There are others who need my guidance as well.
I understand,
says the shaman. He motions to one of the women, who brings Elena's belongings to him. He inspects each item: her shirt, trousers, socks, underwear, bra, boots. Before opening her backpack, he removes the machete, more clothes, some food items, a pink toiletry bag, her wallet, from which he scatters the cash and credit cards, a smartphone, and finally, from a side pocket, a closed butterfly knife and a watch. With all of Elena's belongings laid out before her, the shaman says,
"If you stay, you won't need any of this. We will provide for you. From now on, you will also be known as Kina in our tribe."
He gestures to the women.
"These are my wives. They will help you with anything you need. Tara is my first wife. You can ask her for anything. I will leave you with them now."
Just as the shaman is about to stand, Elena speaks up.
Thank you for welcoming me. With respect, may I keep just 2 of my belongings?
What do you need?
Elena points to a piece of clothing and her toiletry bag. The shaman, slightly puzzled, hands her the selected items, holding up her bra and asking what it is for. Eager to demonstrate, Elena straps the bra on, much to the delight and laughter of the women. The shaman, bewildered but amused, leaves them to their day. Elena asks Tara,
Can you take me to the river so I can wash up?
Tara, without hesitation, looks at the youngest woman in the group.
Hikari, take Kina to the pond.
Hikari, still eating, shrugs without looking up, acknowledging the request with casual indifference. Upon arriving at the water hole, Elena is slightly disappointed to see the murky water, not the clear stream she had imagined.
It's because of yesterday's rain.
Hikari explains.
It takes a few days for the mud to settle.
That's fine.
Elena replies. Hikari begins to wash herself, though her attention remains on Elena and the unfamiliar pink item she's holding. Elena pulls out a bar of soap from her toiletry bag, splashes water over her body, and rubs the soap, creating small bubbles. Hikari watches with growing curiosity and moves closer. Noticing her interest, Elena steps nearer, holding out the bar of soap.
Smell it,
she says with a smile. Hikari, without hesitation, leans in and inhales the jasmine fragrance, smiling at the unfamiliar scent. Elena returns the smile. Scooping water into her cupped hands, Elena wets Hikari's forearm, then lathers the soap to create more bubbles. After rinsing Hikari's arm, she lifts it to her nose.
It smells nice.
Hikari acknowledges, clearly impressed by the foreign scent. Back in the village, Hikari eagerly shares the fragrant smell on her forearm with her co-wives, who seem equally intrigued. Elena spends the rest of the day mingling with the four women, learning more about their lives while also sharing what she knows about the outside world, carefully avoiding romanticizing it, mindful of the impact it could have on impressionable young minds. She helps with the evening meal preparations, doing what she can, though the rest of the villagers keep their distance. Despite this, Elena can sense their constant gazes, watching her every move. After the meal, Elena, not wanting to intrude too much, politely excuses herself and retires to her hammock. From there, she listens to the hum of the village, people talking about their day, exchanging banter and other conversations she can't quite make out, but suspects are about her. One by one, the villagers retreat to their own hammocks. Soon, the central area of the shabono grows quiet, with only the crackling fire and the distant calls of the forest breaking the silence. Elena, lying in her hammock, gazes up at the roof, her face softly illuminated by the reflection of the moon and the fading glow of the fires.
Something is missing,
she murmured to herself. Just then, a faint sound of soft moaning drifted through the shabono. Elena shifted in her hammock, the gentle, rhythmic sounds mingling with the crackling fire and the distant calls of the jungle. Elena smiles, lulled by the ambient sounds, and drifts into a peaceful sleep. The next afternoon, as Elena sits skinning fruit, the shaman approaches her.
Kina, tell me about the thunderbirds.
Elena, puzzled, looks up.
What do you mean?
The shaman points to the sky. A commercial airplane soars high above, leaving a white trail in its wake, though no sound reaches them from its altitude. Elena begins to respond but hesitates. She doesn't know the Yanomami words for metal or ice.
They are like giant boats with wings, carrying many people across the skies, far beyond the Yanomami world. I came here from my world inside one of those flying boats.
The shaman frowns thoughtfully.
Why do your people need to cross such vast distances? Don't they have everything they need where they live?
Elena is taken aback by the simplicity and depth of his question.
Outsiders are no longer content with what they truly need. They always want more. New places to see, different people to meet, and new lives to live.
Does this make them happier?
Elena sighs.
Many outsiders spend their lives chasing what they don't have, always believing that something else will make them happy. But often, when they fail to find that elusive more, it leaves them angry and bitter. Even those who succeed in getting what they desire often end up wanting the one thing no one can have, more time. This relentless race empties their souls.
She pauses, reflecting on her own life.
I consider myself fortunate to have been given what many would call impossible. Yet, like everyone else, with one goal reached, a new desire emerges. Some might say that if you had all the time in the world, you'd want to live simply, in peace. But I've tasted a fruit so sweet that I can't stop craving more. The fruit of knowledge. It's a hunger that can never truly be satisfied, because no one can know everything. Even in moments of rest, sitting by a peaceful river and trying to quiet one's mind, there's always a small, persistent voice. A little song. Urging to seek more answers.
She glances at the shaman, wondering if he grasps the weight of her words.
Your world sounds complicated. I don't think I could ever fully understand it.
It is complicated. And I believe the Yanomami should remain untouched by it.
Is that why you returned to the Yanomami? Are you trying to escape your world?
Kina lived a good life here. This is one of the last places where the old ways are still honored, and I wanted to experience it one more time before it's lost.
Do you like your world? From what you've said, it sounds like your spirit is not at peace there.
You're right. My world doesn't bring peace, but it does offer certain comforts. Never feeling hunger, living a long and sheltered life, safe from most dangers and diseases. Yet, deep down, I know I have a duty to fulfill, and I'm running out of time to do it.
I recognize Kina's words in what you say. I've met Yanomami from other tribes, and while we share similar ways of speaking, our words are not always the same. Where did Kina live?
I can't say exactly. What I do know is that we lived in a place with more hills, but most importantly, it was a long time ago.